Take a deep breath and let the world fall away. The noise, the rush, the demands. Let them drift like dust in a forgotten wind. You are not just watching a video. You are stepping through a threshold, one that exists not in the outer world, but deep within. A doorway the ancients spoke of in riddles and symbols, carved into sacred scrolls, whispered through veils of incense and candlelight. A doorway not to a place, but to understanding. In this world, there are no accidents. Every falling leaf, every gust of wind, every flicker of light and shadow, all part of a hidden language. And yes, even the numbers that cross your path, on clocks, receipts, license plates, or dreams, are not just digits. They are frequencies, codes, messages left behind by something greater. As the wheel of the earth turns into June 2025, something rare stirs beneath the surface. Not in chaos, but in a ripple. Subtle, quiet. The kind of movement that only the still-hearted can feel. And within that silence, five numbers begin to rise. Not shouted, whispered, not chosen by chance, but called by time itself. These are not ordinary numbers. They are ancient vibrations, aligned with the karma of opportunity, the geometry of spiritual awakening, and the divine timing of destiny. They are the keys you've been waiting for, perhaps without knowing it. Long ago, Baba Vanga, the blind prophet who saw what most could not, spoke of a time when five winds would rise together. Winds of change, truth, and fate. Winds that would guide those ready to unlock their deeper purpose. Nostradamus, hidden in his poetic quatrains, hinted at a golden month inside a shifting decade. A month when numbers would come alive, revealing paths to power not through control, but through alignment. And even before them, the monks of Tibet and the mystics of the East spoke of the numbers of Dharma, sacred symbols that held no luck, only truth. These numbers, they taught, are not predictions. They are reflections. What you notice reveals what you are ready to see. And maybe, just maybe, that's why you're here now. Maybe you've already begun to feel it. The strange coincidences, the repeated numbers, the dreams that echo with something just out of reach. You've been sensing a shift, not outside but inside. A quiet knowing that something is about to unfold. Something meaningful. This isn't fantasy. This is a call. A quiet bell ringing for those awake enough to hear it. A message encoded in the mystery of numbers, waiting for the one who will pay attention. So now as you listen with your heart open and your mind softened, know this. These five sacred numbers were not chosen. They arrived. And now, so have you. Let's walk together through them, one by one, and discover what they hold. Lucky number 1, 23. It doesn't arrive like other numbers. It doesn't knock gently. 23 comes like a gust of wind through a still room. Undeniable, electric, charged with purpose. It's not a number that fits in. It's a number that stands apart. In most traditions, 23 isn't mentioned often, and that's precisely what gives it power. It's the number that hides in plain sight, revealing itself only to those ready to walk a different path. In Buddhist cosmology, there are 23 realms of conditioned existence before reaching the unconditioned, nirvana. These are not just layers of reality. They're veils, illusions, lessons. To pass through them is to awaken. And 23 doesn't promise comfort. It promises liberation. If you're ready to stop following the script you were handed and start writing your own. This number pulses with unconventional wisdom. It blends the curious, communicative energy of 2 with the fiery spark of 3, creating a frequency of intuition, creativity, and radical originality. It's the number of the inventor, the truth teller, the one who doesn't wait for permission to evolve. Mystics like Baba Vanga spoke cryptically of a future where only those who walked alone would reach gold. There will come a time, she said, when those who do not follow the crowd will walk into gold and silence. That's not just prophecy. That's 23 in motion. Astrologically, 23 is tied to Mercury and Uranus, the messengers of change. Together they create breakthroughs, flashes of insight, divine disruption. If you've been feeling the itch to change something big, your job, your location, your identity, this number is your green light. But be warned, 23 doesn't lead you where others go. It won't hand you a map. It offers something far more valuable, a compass that always points inward. You'll feel it in those moments when you know something is right, even if it makes no sense to anyone else. That's 23 whispering, you were not meant to follow. You were born to remember. This June, if 23 keeps appearing on clocks, receipts, billboards, pay attention. You are being called to break patterns, not out of rebellion, but out of remembrance. You are not here to repeat life. You are here to reinvent it. Step off the well-worn path. There is another way, a quieter way, a truer way, and 23 is already walking it, waiting for you to follow. Lucky number 2, 47. At first glance, 47 might seem ordinary, almost forgettable. But the mystics knew better. To the awakened eye, 47 is a sacred design, a meeting point of heaven and earth. The grounded energy of 4 and the celestial light of 7 do not clash here. They harmonize. They whisper in unison, build not just with your hands, but with your soul. 4 is the number of structure, discipline, stability, the foundation beneath your feet. It represents the earth element, the square, the table, the 4 corners of the world. It is what we stand on when all else crumbles. But by itself, 4 can become too rigid, too practical, too heavy. Then comes 7, the seeker, the mystic, the bridge to the unknown. 7 lives in the silence between thoughts, in dreams that echo beyond logic. It holds the wisdom of lifetimes, the kind of knowledge you don't learn but remember. Together, 4 and 7 create something extraordinary. Grounded intuition, purpose with direction, dreams with legs. This is the essence of 47, the silent builder. Baba Vanga once spoke, in one of her most cryptic visions, of a figure who would build a palace from invisible stones, a temple not seen by the eyes but felt by the spirit. That is 47. It doesn't crave applause. It doesn't chase validation. It creates from alignment. It builds from inner knowing. If 23 was the rebel, 47 is the architect of destiny. Steady, quiet, unshakable. It doesn't shout. It resonates. This number comes to those who are ready to lay down lasting foundations, not just in the material world, but in legacy, purpose, and soul contracts. If you're seeing 47, you're being asked to slow down, to anchor in, to build carefully. Not because the work is hard, but because the result will endure. Astrologically, 4 and 7 resonate with Saturn and Neptune. One gives you patience and precision, the other gives you vision and spiritual depth. This pairing is rare, and when it appears, it signals a season of transformation through consistent sacred action. This June, 47 invites you to trust the slow magic, the unseen progress, the power of doing what's right, even when no one is watching. You may feel invisible now, but the work you're doing is not. It's laying down the architecture of something eternal. So if 47 follows you, in dreams, on receipts, in the quiet hours of morning, know this. You are not just building a life. You are building a legacy, one brick of intention at a time. Lucky number 3. 60. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine standing at the top of a great spiral staircase. Every step behind you represents a lesson, a choice, a challenge overcome. Now you've arrived at the 60th step, and everything feels still, whole, meant. 60 is not just a number, it is the closing of a sacred circle. In the ancient wisdom of Eastern astrology, 60 years marks the end of a complete karmic wheel, the soul's full journey through every elemental and energetic expression. To reach 60 is to reach completion, and with that completion comes clarity. In the West, we often fear cycles ending, but in the East, And among mystics like Baba Vanga, Nostradamus, and the Tibetan sages, 60 is revered. Because what ends here was never lost. It was being refined, made sacred. Baba Vanga once spoke of 60 as the point at which a soul retrieves something buried long ago. Not an object, but a truth, a knowing, a power once hidden for safekeeping. She describes 60 as the golden hinge, a moment in time where the past and future meet in silence and the door quietly opens. In astrology, the 60-degree angle is known as a sextile, a harmonious aspect between planets. It's not loud like a conjunction or dramatic like an opposition. Instead, it's gentle, aligned, a quiet hand on your shoulder saying, now. Go numerologically, 6 is the nurturer, the teacher of compassion, the architect of peace. And 0. 0 is divine. It represents the womb of creation, the source from which all things arise and to which all things return. Together, 60 is love expanded across eternity. It is a sacred return to what was always waiting for you once you were ready to receive. When 60 appears in your life, on receipts, in timestamps, in dreams, the message is clear. What you've planted long ago is ready to bear fruit. What you've waited for quietly, patiently, is now ready to meet you. Not as a fantasy, not as a hope, but as a reality. This is not the beginning of your path. It is a checkpoint, a moment of reclamation, a space where you pause, look around, and realize, I've made it through. I've grown. I've earned this. And here's the sacred paradox. 60 marks the end of a cycle, but also the start of a new one. This time with wisdom, with self-trust, with grace. So in this rare energy of June 2025, if 60 enters your field, stop and listen. Honor what is ending. Celebrate what is unfolding. And trust that whatever arrives now is arriving because you are ready. You don't have to chase it. You don't have to fight for it. You simply have to allow it. Because 60 isn't just about timing. It's about divine timing. And divine timing is never early, never late. It only arrives when your soul stands at the door and whispers, now. Lucky number 4, 13, a number cloaked in shadow by the world, yet shining in silence for those who truly see. Across cultures, 13 has been whispered about, avoided, even feared, labeled unlucky, cast aside. But mystics, monks, and visionaries know a different truth. 13 is not a curse. It is a key, a sacred gateway veiled in mystery, reserved for those brave enough to walk the hidden path. In Buddhist lunar tradition, there are rare years that hold 13 full moons, a sign of divine disruption, not chaos for destruction's sake, but for rebirth. 13 signals a time when the veil between worlds thins. Ancestors speak more clearly. Dreams feel heavier with meaning. The air around you hums with a forgotten memory. You have been here before. This number is feminine power in its rawest, most primal form. The number of the Divine Mother, the creatrix, the life-giver and life-taker. In ancient matriarchal traditions, 13 was the symbol of the sacred womb, the cycle of menstruation, the pulse of nature, the rhythm of life itself. When 13 appears to you, it's not just coincidence. It's a calling, a reminder that you are protected, that you are surrounded by energies who remember who you are, even when you forget. Baba Vanga, the blind prophetess of Bulgaria, once said that there is a light from the womb that returns in cycles of 13 to guide the forgotten back to their power. She saw 13 as a signal from beyond, the whisper of a grandmother long gone, a guardian spirit, a life once lived and now returning to guide. 13 doesn't promise ease. It promises depth, the unraveling of illusion, the crumbling of what no longer serves. And then beneath the rubble, something ancient rises. You, whole, unmasked, remembered. Astrologically, 13 aligns with the hidden moon, Lilith, the dark feminine, the part of us that won't be silenced, tamed, or dismissed. When 13 finds you, it is asking you to reclaim the parts of yourself that were buried, the magic, the mystery, the fire that once frightened even you. In numerology, 1 is creation, 3 is expression. Together they form 13, the voice that births a new reality. So in June 2025, if 13 crosses your path on doors, clocks, receipts, or dreams, pause and bow. You are not alone. You are never alone. Your roots run deeper than this life, and your story is older than you remember. 13 walks with you like a silent guardian, not to protect you from pain, but to lead you through it and into your rebirth. Because some doors don't open outward, they open inward, and 13 is that sacred door. Lucky number 5, 108108, a sequence so sacred it is whispered rather than spoken in temples. Revered not only in Buddhism, but in Hinduism, Jainism, and yogic traditions alike. 108 is the heartbeat of the universe. It is not a number you simply see. It is a number you feel. There are 108 beads on a mala, each bead a breath, each breath a prayer, each prayer a step closer to truth. Monks repeat mantras 108 times to pierce the illusions of the mind and sink into the stillness of spirit. Yogis bow to the sun in 108 salutations, aligning the body with cosmic rhythm. In ancient numerology, 1 stands for divine creation. 0 is wholeness and eternity. 8 is infinity, the flow of energy that never ends. Together, 108 becomes a sacred map, from source, 1, through the void, 0, into the eternal cycle of life and soul, 8. It is said there are 108 paths to enlightenment. Not 1, not 2, but a sacred weaving of choices, trials, awakenings, and returns. 108 illusions must be seen, felt, and transcended. When 108 appears, it means you are ready, not just to live life, but to elevate it. Baba Vanga, in her later visions, spoke of 108 as the pulse of the stars. She said, "The enlightened will follow the rhythm of 108, and the stars will light their path." It was not metaphor, it was prophecy, because this number isn't just mystical, it's cosmic. Science now echoes what the sages knew. The distance between the Earth and Sun is roughly 108 times the Sun's diameter. The average distance from the Earth to the Moon is about 108 times the Moon's diameter. In the human body, energy flows through 108 key pressure points, the nadis, channels through which life force rises. 108 is the sacred code of alignment. It's the moment your inner path and your outer reality lock into harmony, when your thoughts, your actions, and your higher self begin to move as one. If 108 finds you this June, pause, not just to notice, but to honor. It's an invitation to deepen your practice, to silence the noise, and to return to the truth that was always waiting for you beneath the surface. You are being called not to follow the world, but to follow the pulse of the cosmos, to rise beyond distraction, to live in sacred rhythm, to become the prayer. 108 is not luck. It is destiny remembered. Let me share with you a story that has traveled through centuries, whispered from monk to seeker, from heart to heart. There was once a humble monk who lived by a silver river, a place where time seemed to pause, and the world softened into stillness. Night after night he sat quietly, watching the water flow, feeling the pulse of the earth beneath his feet. One night as the moon cast a gentle glow across the rippling surface, he had a dream unlike any other. In his dream, 5 golden petals drifted slowly down the river, each one shimmering with a unique light, each carrying a number, and more than a number, a message. The first petal whispered softly, "Rebel." It called out to the part of us that refuses to settle for the ordinary, that breaks free from old patterns and dares to forge a new path. The second petal said, "Build." This one spoke of silent strength, the quiet determination to lay bricks of purpose and patience, to turn visions into lasting reality. The third petal murmured, "Wait." It was a reminder of the sacred timing of life, the deep wisdom of patience, and the power in trusting the cycles that move beyond our control. The fourth petal breathed the word, "Remember." It carried the weight of ancestral knowledge, the light of those who walked before us, urging us to honor our roots and carry their legacy with grace. And the fifth petal floated with a gentle command, "Ascend," a call to rise, beyond fear, beyond doubt, toward a higher truth, a greater self. For years, the monk watched these petals drift past, never quite reaching his hands. He wondered if they were just dreams, illusions of the mind. Yet he remained patient, sitting by the river's edge, listening, waiting. Then one day, with an open heart and steady hands, he reached out and caught them all. That moment changed everything. People around him laughed and called him foolish. Why plant trees before the storm? Why prepare when the skies were clear? But when the rains came and the river swelled, those very trees he had planted became a refuge, a sanctuary that saved the village from destruction. In time, they stopped calling him foolish and began to call him guardian. Not because he wielded power or riches, but because he listened deeply, heard the whispers of the wind, the rhythm of the earth, and the sacred messages carried by those golden petals. And now, dear friend, I ask you, what if you are that monk? What if these numbers, the ones that have appeared to you in clocks, in dreams, in fleeting moments of quiet, are your golden petals? What if you've been standing on the riverbank, waiting, and now the current is flowing your way? This doorway, the one you've been sensing, the one that ancient mystics like Baba Vanga and Nostradamus spoke of, it opens only once. Are you ready to step through? Are you ready to reach out with open hands and catch the messages that the universe is sending you? I invite you to look inward, to notice which number has followed you persistently, silently guiding your steps. Share that number in the comments below, not as a plea for luck, but as a declaration to the cosmos that you are awake, that you are listening, and that you are ready to receive. Because in June 2025, those golden petals will fall again. And only those who open their hearts, who trust in the quiet magic beneath the surface of everyday life, will catch them and carry their light forward. The river flows, the petals fall, the time is now. Will you be the one who listens?